Hi, this is Steffi from The Makers, and I'm going to show you how you can make a quite rough shape of wool into a very precise little shape with no extra wool pieces added. So we're going for this very precise little hummingbird body shape, and this is based on our subscription box number 88 for September 2024. So first of all, follow the instructions if you've got any to make your basic shape. So I've got the right amount of wool, but it's all in bits and pieces. So I'm going to overlay the smaller parts on top of the larger part underneath. And I'm using my medium needle initially. Ours have got the orange marking, and then I'm going to switch to a green needle. This one has got the is the fine needle with the green painted top. And I'm going to roll this in softly so that I end up with a little sausage shape. Sometimes it really helps to tease these last wispy fibers out so that they make a smooth cover that's going over the last wispy the last wispy bits going over the top, and I just gently stab them a couple of times with my medium felting needle. So now I have a very unshapeful little sausage, which eventually I need to have at that shape. So it's really important that you have your template with you, because that will help you to know where to needle felt the areas down. So at the moment it's literally covering all of it, but I know that underneath it there is this rounded area here. So I'm going to make the belly, so to speak, say this is going to be the belly, I'm going to make that round. And I lay it on its back, the shape, and now I'm going in a curved fashion across the top so that I'm also felting the sides slightly in. So you can hear the needle sinking into the felting mat, because where the wool is quite wispy, it's hard for you to see this overhead, but as soon as I turn it on its side, you can see I've made this area round. So now I'm checking again. Now the roundness is seems to be quite good, but I need to make it slimmer, and I need to make that tail a little bit rounder and keep that head nice and big. In fact, I'm going to turn it round, so you have the choice to adjust your shape and still switch things around. If you think, oh, this is actually not the head, this is the tail, then switch it round. So my needle is beginning to bounce off the wool shape, and therefore I'm actually going to already switch to the fine one, because I've got a lot of shaping to do. So at the moment I'm just shrinking my shape down whilst I'm maintaining the round belly, and then I'm going to make one end, which is this end here, is going to be the tail. So I'm felting this down already, anticipating it will be slightly rounder and shorter. What you need to remember with needle felting is that you don't ever work just on one area. You continuously work on all areas. It's a little bit like chiseling away on a large stone or piece of wood. You would we would work on the whole shape at all times until the very end, where you focus on the specific areas. So I'm felting my tail down still. It is definitely worth spending a lot of time on this. And just to remind you also, the wherever you stab the needle is where you are shrinking the wool down. Now if you're stabbing your needle very superficially, then you are going to felt the shape down on the surface mostly. So you're smoothing the surface and you're making the surface nice and firm. If you're going straight into the shape, you're also felting the core and the surface, which means you're going to get a lot more shrinkage taking place. So this is if you're sinking the needle in superficially or quite a long way. Now if you're sinking the needle in at a shallow angle like this, you are still shrinking the shape, but you're shrinking it in that direction wherever you stab the needle. So if you're going in like this, you're making your shape shorter, but you're also shrinking it all together in the width as well, because you're still felting the surface down to shrink it down, especially if you're stabbing quite deeply into the shape. So it is a question of just constantly stabbing the shape, then comparing it to your template and felting it down a little bit more. I really want you to take your time on this, because it's well worth it that you end up with a nice solid little shape that's solid all around, rather than just solid at one end and the rest maintains fluffy. As you've noticed, I've not touched the head area yet, because I'm going to get to that in a minute. I'm just trying to make sure that this shape is shrinking down now into this nice firm solid little body of a bird shape. And remember, the hummingbird, especially the one that we're doing in the September box, is actually quite small, so you will have to do quite a little bit of shrinking your basic shape down. So I'm working now on the head area, which obviously is slightly rounded and sort of extends a little bit. At the moment I'm just felting it so that the wispy ends are tucked away, and then I'm working on the shaping so that now I've got a similar firmness all around the body, which is exactly what I want. There's going to be a lot of detail added on top of the bird, so you want all of the shape to be a similar firmness. Otherwise, when you add your details onto the top later on, you've got some areas that shrink down more than others, when actually all you want to do is just add surface detail. So I'm still working with my fine needle. The wool that I'm using, that comes in the Hummingbird subscription box kit, is our luxury core wool. I absolutely love it for this quality of it being very lofty, but at the same time you can actually felt this down super firm, but it doesn't happen too quickly before you realize. So now my shape is still a little bit too long, the head's here, and that's exactly what I want, because I want to make sure that I get that nice rounded head shape in. So all you need to do is constantly compare the shape to the template, and if you for whatever reason shrunk it too much, which can also happen if you shrunk it down massively by just stabbing really solidly into the shape, don't worry, because you can build back up the bulk that you've felted down by using a little bit more and just applying wool layers on top where it needs to be built up again. But I think it's better for this hummingbird project to be on the smaller side than on the larger side, because they are really very small birds, though the one that you're making in the subscription box is a buff-bellied hummingbird, which is one of the larger varieties. Still a tiny bird, but definitely not as tiny as some of them are. And just to remind you, this is the shape I'm aiming for. So here we go. Quite a lot to go still if you're comparing it to the template, and there's the bird sitting on the template, pretty much a perfect fit. So this is what we're still aiming for. Just leave the bird here, and the wool has become quite a lot firmer, but there's still a lot. As long as you can squish it and there's air in it, you can felt it down. So I need to reduce the length a little bit. I need to reduce the tail end a little bit more. We're actually attaching a separate tail, so you don't need to make a tail per se. You just need to have that end a little bit more pointy than the other ends. So in a minute I'm going to check it against the template again and see how I'm doing. You can always come back to the bits that you did at the beginning, like rounding off that belly again. So it is literally going back and forth and back and forth. I often refer to it like needle felting is like a dance. You never stay in one spot. You just keep going over the same routines and make the same movements, but you just, when you think you finished, the music still plays and you have to keep going. So imagine it like that it's not something where you just stay in one spot and do your little stabs. You're actually moving along the whole of the shape. So getting there very slowly but surely, felting down the neck area now. So now I'm going to work really well on the head. I need to slim down the neck and build that head, shape that head. I'm not building anything, it's all there. I'm literally just sculpting it. So often this is different from other things that we do, where we often just make the shape and then add more wool to it to say make the head or similar. But on this occasion I'm literally just felting the wool down from one single bulky shape into a very smaller or much smaller refined shape. And you can see that this is all going in the right direction. So probably a little bit more. Sometimes it helps to pinch where you need to go, but I'm leaving it there because you've got the idea. But that's basically how you do the shape of the hummingbird, just from a plain wool wad into a much smaller and more shapely shape. Thank you very much, and I hope to see lots of your hummingbirds very soon, or any other projects that you have made using this particular technique. Thank you. Bye bye.